Right, so hello guys. So whoever's watching this video, hopefully this helps. But so here we have the square root of x minus 1 plus 2 equals 2x plus 2. So we want to go ahead and solve this. Now the first thing we need to do is square both sides, okay? And actually, you know what? I forgot to do one thing. So here's the thing. We want to state the restrictions, and I will explain why. So any restrictions that where the let's say these two are considered functions, right? We want to state any restrictions. So the square root of x minus 1 has to be greater than or equal to 0. And the square root of 2x plus 2 also has to be greater than or equal to 0. So we want to make sure we understand that. So here we get, if we square both sides, right? And the reason why I'm doing this now, guys, is because instead of actually checking at the very end, we can do this rule. Okay, or we can use this to know whether or not our answer is within the restricted values. So, or the restricted interval. So in this case, x minus 1, so you know that the square and square root cancel out, is greater than or equal to 0. And then 2x plus, I'm sorry, hold on. And then 2x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 0. Okay. So now let's go ahead and solve. So we get x greater than or equal to 1. Okay. And then here, we're going to subtract 2 on both sides. We get 2x greater than or equal to negative 2. We divide both sides by 2. And we get the following. So it's going to be x greater than or equal to negative 1. Now, here's the thing. Okay. So here, we want to go ahead and keep in mind that, so x has to be greater than or equal to negative 1, okay? And then also, x has to be greater than or equal to 1. So these are the restricted inequalities, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and actually solve this. So the first thing we need to do is we need to square it because we need to get rid of this radical. And this is a little tricky because, most of the time, a lot of students don't know how to do this because it is difficult. We don't see these very often. So remember the equation a squared. So a plus b quantity squared is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, and also a minus b squared, because we're going to have to use that as well. A squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So I will explain why we're going to have to use both those, later on. But here we have x. So the first one, we're going to use it. So we have the square root of x minus 1 squared minus 2, I'm sorry, plus 2 square root of x minus 1 times 2 plus 2 squared, okay, is equal to 2x plus 2, because again, the squared and the square root cancel out. So now we just simplify this. So this part will be x minus 1 plus 2, and then this is just going to be square root of x minus 1 plus, actually, and then times 2, excuse me, I forgot to do that, which is 4 square root of x minus 1 plus 4, and then equals 2x plus 2. So now we want to combine like terms. So here we have an x, and here, I'm sorry, excuse me, no. Here we have a -1, and here we have a 4. So we're going to go ahead and just say x plus 4 square root of x minus 1 plus 3, and actually equals 2x plus 2. You can also write it as x plus 3 plus 4 square root of x minus 1 equals 2x plus 2 if that's easier. So now all you need to do is subtract x, subtract 3. We get 4 square root of x minus 1 equals x minus 1. Okay, so now we're going to square both sides. So as you can see now, we can square both sides. It becomes a little easier now. We get 16 times x minus 1 equals x squared minus 2x plus 1. So again, like I said, we're using this second part. We're using the second equation to do this part here. Okay, so I'm just kind of stating that we're using that to do that part. So we do distributive property, 16x minus 16. Let me write that down again. Equals x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then we're going to go ahead and subtract 16x and add 16 to cancel it out because we need to make it equal to 0. So anytime we do a quadratic, in these cases, we can make it equal to 0 and then factor, right? So then we have 0 equals x squared minus 18. Minus 18x plus 17. So you want to know two numbers that multiply to the first term. So this is 1 times 17, 1 times 17, and add to negative 18. So I know I don't need to go over this, but we must remember how to do this, how to solve a quadratic by factoring. So then we go ahead and we know that two numbers are negative, it's going to be negative 17 and negative 1. So in other words, 0 equals x minus 17, and then x minus 1. So then zero product property, x minus 17 equals 0, or x minus 1 equals 0, x equals 17, and then x equals 1. Now, looking back at the actual restricted values, we wanted it to be x greater than or equal to 1 or x greater than or equal to negative 1. So in this case, if we go ahead and do this part, we're going to go ahead and actually, I believe, give me a second. It's going to be, I believe it's both of them, actually, because in this case, if we go ahead, I just want to make sure if we graph this, Give me a second. So the square root of x minus 1 plus 2 is 2x is equal to square root of 2x plus 2. So we can clearly see that the two solutions are going to be x equals 17 and x equals 1, because, again, the restrictions were that x had to be greater than or equal to 1, and x had to be greater than or equal to negative 1, I believe. And as you can see, we want to go ahead and test it. So like I said, 17 greater than or equal to 1, and 17 is greater than or equal to negative 1, as well as 1 is greater than or equal to 1, and 1 is greater than or equal to negative 1. So we can clearly see that these two things are satisfied, or these four things are satisfied. So we can clearly see that those are the solutions to this inequality, or this equation, excuse me. So that is it for this problem. I know it's a pretty lengthy one, but thank you for watching, and I hope this helps. Bye-bye.